Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verses 19 to 36. Dharma uvacha kachid bhadrena mayam. Okay, sorry. Dharma uvacha kachid bhadrena mayam vichaya simlayati shanmukhena alakshaye bhavatim antaradhim dure bandhum shochasi kanchanamba.
Dharma, in the form of a bull, asked, "Madam, are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief? It appears by your face that you have become black. Are you suffering from some internal disease, or are you thinking of some relative who is away in a distant place?"
Text 20. Pade nyunam shochasi maikapadam atmanam vavrishale bhokshamanam aho suradin hritayagya bhagan praja utasvin maghavatya varshati.
Translation: I have lost my 3 legs and am now standing on only one. Are you lamenting for my state of existence? Or are you in great anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat eaters will exploit me? Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings, because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because of their sufferings due to famine and drought?
Text 21. Arakshamana striya urvibalan shochasyatho purushaderivartan vacham devim brahmakule kukarmani abrahmanye rajakule kulagriyan.
Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because the goddess of learning is being handled by brahmanas addicted to acts against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the Brahmans have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture?
Text 22. Kim kshetra bandhun kalinopasrishtan rashtrani vater avaropitani itastato vashanapana snana vyavayon mukhajivalokam.
The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali, and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc., and they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this?
Text 23. Yad Vambate Bhuri Bharavatara Kritavatarasya Hare Dharitri Antarhitasya Smarati Visrishta Karmani Nirvana Vilambitani.
O Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, incarnated himself as Lord Sri Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. All his activities here are transcendental and they cement the path of liberation. You are now bereft of his presence. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence.
Text 24. Idam mamachakshvatavadhimulam vasundhareyena vikarshitasi kalena vate balinam baliyasa surarchitam kim hritamamba saubhagam.
Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcibly taken away all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigods.
Text 25. Dharani uvacha bhavan hi veda tat sarvam yanmam dharmanuprichasi chaturbhirvatase yena pader loka sukhavahai.
The earthly deity, in the form of a cow, thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull. O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply to all those questions. Once you too were maintained by your four legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord.
Text 26 to 30. Satyam shocham dayakshantis tyagah santosha arjavam shamodamastapa samyam titiksho paratishrutam jnanam viraktirashvaryam shauryam tejo balam smritihi swatantriyam kaushalam kantir dhairyam mardavaneva प्रागल्भ्यं प्रश्रयः शीलं सह ओजो बलं भगः गाम्भीर्यं स्थैर्यम् आस्तिक्यं कीर्तिर्मानो नहङ्कृतिः एते चान्ये च भगवन् नित्या यत्र महागुणः प्रार्थ्या महत्त्वम् इच्छद्भिर्न वियन्ति स्म कर्हिचित् तेनाहं गुणपात्रेण श्रीनिवासेन साम्प्रतं शोचामि रहितं लोकं पापन कलिनेक्षितम्.
In him reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness, the power to control anger, self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of the sense organs, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, serenity, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, joyfulness, immovability, fidelity, fame, worship, pridelessness, being as the personality of Godhead, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna, has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So I am sorry to see this condition of existence.
Text 31. Atmanam chanushochami bhavantam chamarottamam devan pitrin rishin sadhun sarvan varnam shtathashraman.
I am thinking about myself and also, O best amongst the demigods, about you, as well as about all the demigods, sages, denizens of Pitriloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna and Ashrama in human society.
Text 32 to 33. Brahmadayo bahutitham yadapangamoksha Kamastapa samacharan bhagavat prapanna Sashi svavasamaravindavanam vihaya Yat padasobhagamalam bhajate nurakta. Tasyahamabja kulishankushaketukete Srimad Bhagavata Samalankritangi Trin Atyarocha Upalabhyatato Vibhutim Lokan Samam Vyasrijatut Samatyatimattadanti.
Lakshmi ji, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, and for whom they surrendered many a day unto the personality of Godhead, gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers and engaged herself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all the three planetary systems by being decorated with the impressions of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving rod, and lotus flower, which are signs of the lotus feet of the Lord. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, the Lord left me.
Text 34. Yo vei mamati bharamasuravam sharagyam akshohini shatamapanu dadatmatantraha Tvam duhistham unapadam atmani purushena kam sampadayan yadushuram yamabhipradangam.
O personality of religion, I was greatly overburdened by the undue military flanks arranged by atheistic kings, and I was relieved by the grace of the personality of Godhead. Similarly, you were also in a distressed condition, weakened in your standing strength, and thus he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of the Yadus to relieve you.
Text 35. Kavasaheta viharam purushottamasya premavalokaruchirasmitavalgujalpe स्थैर्यं समानमहरन् मधुमानिनीनां रोमोत्सवो मम यदङ्घ्रिविक्तङ्कितायाः.
Who therefore can tolerate the pangs of separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by his sweet smile of love, pleasing glance, and hearty appeals. When he traversed my earth's surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and thus would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hair standing on me out of pleasure.
Text 36. Tayorevam kathayatoha prithivi dharmayostada parikshinama rajashi praptah prachim saraswatim.
While the earth and the personality of religion were thus engaged in conversation, the saintly king Parikshit reached the shore of the Saraswati river, which flowed towards the east. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Vrinda Devi and Partha Prabhu. Very nice recitation. And welcome everyone to today's chat session.
Thank you.
Let's see who we've got today. Hare Krishna. So we continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter number 16, chapter entitled, How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. So today's session was supposed to be facilitated by Divyanam Prabhu, but he had some matters he had to attend to, so he's asked me to facilitate. So you have me again today. So today we'll be discussing text number 31. So let's start off by what we normally do. Recite the Mangala Charanam prayers to incite, invoke auspiciousness for our embarkment on reading this transcendental literature. Om Jnanathimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutan Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Taptakanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Aschacha Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, so we are reading the section verses 25 to 36. The Rani expresses a pain of separation from the Lord and a lamentation about the effects of Kali Yuga. Text number 31. Atmanam chanushochami bhavantam charatom tamam devan pritrin rishin sadhun sarvan varsnam tatashraman raman. Word for word synonyms: Atmanam, myself; Cha, also; Anusochami, lamenting; Bhavantam, yourself; Cha, as well as; Amara Uttamam, the best among the demigods; Devan, about the demigods; Pitrin, about the denizens of the Pitraloka planet; Risin, about the sages; Sadhun, about the devotees; Sarvan, all of them; Varnan, sections; Tata, as also; Ashraman, Raman, orders of human society. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I am thinking about myself and also, O best amongst the demigods, about you, as well as all the demigods, sages, denizens of Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Vana and Ashrama in human society. But to effect the perfection of human life, there is cooperation between men and demigods, sages, denizens of the Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and the scientific system of Vana and Ashrama, orders of life. The distinction between human life and animal life therefore begins with the scientific system of Vana and Ashrama, guided by the experience of the sages in relation with the demigods, gradually rising to the summit of re-establishing one our eternal relation with the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. When God made Varnashrama Dharma, which is strictly meant for developing animal consciousness into human consciousness, and human consciousness into godly consciousness, is broken by advancement of foolishness, the whole system of peaceful and progressive life is at once disturbed. In the age of Kali, the first attack of the venomous snake strikes against the God-made Varnashram Dharma, and thus a person properly qualified as a Brahmana is called a Shudra, and a Shudra by qualification is passing as a Brahmana, all on a false birthright claim. To become a Brahmana by a birthright claim is not at all bona fide, although it is maybe a fulfillment of one of the conditions. But the real qualification of a Brahmana is to control the mind and the senses, and to cultivate tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, devotion, and faith in the Vedic wisdom. In the present age, consideration of the necessary qualification is being neglected, and the false birthright claim is being supported even by a popular, sophisticated poet, the author of Ramcharitamānasa. This is all due to the effect of the age of Kali. Thus, Mother Earth, represented as a cow, was lamenting the regretful condition. So here in this verse, Mother Earth, she's lamenting not only for herself, who has to endure the effects of Kali, but also the demigods. About you meaning Dharma, represented as the bull, as well as all the demigods, sages, denizens of Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna and Ashram in human society. So there's some nice points Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport. I will discuss some of them. And there's one I didn't quite understand. So I'll open that up for a question. So the first point Prabhupada makes, that perfect human society is based on the principle of cooperation between men, demigods, sages, denizens of the Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and the scientific system of Varna and Ashram orders of life. The whole principle is based on cooperation. So broadly, we have two categories of people. We have the devotees and we have the demons. The nature of demons is to fight among themselves. The nature of demons is that everyone is trying to exert their superior position. And the nature of devotees is they cooperate. And when there is cooperation among the devotees, everything works perfectly. Srila Prabhupada used to give the analogy of a body of water. If we throw a stone in the water, it will generate little concentric ripples or waves. And then if you throw another stone in another location, it will generate concentric ripples or waves. And what will happen at some point in time, as they come together, they will clash and they will nullify each other. But it is said, Prabhupada says, if you throw a stone on the same spot, you'll also generate concentric waves or ripples, but they will enhance each other. There is no clashing among the waves, and nullifying each of the ripples or waves. So this is what the devotees of the Lord are. There is perfect cooperation among the devotees of the Lord. And this cooperation is there because the ultimate aim is to please Krishna. The ultimate aim is not for someone's own self-aggrandizement. When there is a common goal, then there is peace. And when there's conflicting goals, then there's trouble. So there is a nice pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just trying to see where I can find it quickly. And this is the pastime of the Prachetas. The Prachetas were the sons of Maharaj Prajinabarishit. And they were instructed by Lord Shiva. And at some point in time, the Lord came and visited them and instructed them. And at that point in time, the Lord expressed something very nice, and that is in Srimad Bhagavatam, canto number 4, chapter number 30, text number 8, I think it is. So let me just go there quickly, if you don't mind. And I will read to you what the Lord expresses there, because it's very interesting. Canto number 4. Chapter number 30, I think it is. Yeah. And text number 8. Yeah. It's a nice purport. Can you see on the screen Srimad Bhagavatam 4:38?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So this verse is the verse spoken by the Lord to the Prachetas. Therefore it says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me. So the Lord was very pleased. And the Lord is saying, I'm very pleased by your friendly relationships. And then the Lord is qualifying that. And your friendly relationships has its foundation in one occupation, devotional service. And the Lord says, I'm so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. And the Lord says, I wish that you may ask me a benediction. And then Prabhupada gives a very interesting purport, which I shall read. Since the sons of King Prajinabarishit were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Prajinabarishit was an individual soul, but they were all united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. If the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions, and consequently, they cannot be united. This unity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning towards material things. I'll read that again, because Prabhupada is talking about our own society. And he's saying this unity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning toward material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. That's very interesting, Prabhu said. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal, to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, that disagreement is taken as spiritual. How interesting Prabhupada says here. Prabhupada is giving some very practical statements. He's saying that there cannot be two opinions. Why can't there be two opinions? Because the goal is the same. When the goal is the same, although there may apparently be two opinions externally, there is only one opinion, and that is the pleasure of Krishna. To serve Krishna to one's best. And Prabhupada says, if there is some disagreement over service, that disagreement is taken as spiritual. Now, this is interesting, that even in the spiritual atmosphere, sometimes there may be some disagreement, but there's also something called spiritual disagreement. And spiritual disagreement is only there when the goal is common. In the forefront of all the devotees' consciousness is the pleasure of Krishna. And Prabhupada says the only time that disunity is concrete is when there's the introduction of material sentiments, material goals, personal ambitions. Prabhupada says those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benedictions to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can all see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Pratina Barishat. Now, this is very important for us, for our service. Prabhupada is saying when we cooperate in our service, Krishna is very pleased. And when he's pleased, he's willing to give all benedictions to the devotees. Obviously, the devotees don't want any personal benediction, but they'll ask Krishna, please benedict us that we can spread your movement, we can spread your glories more. Please bless us that we can distribute 55,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam during this Bhadra campaign. Please bless us in that way. So the spirit of cooperation is very, very important. And we see that whenever there is disagreements among devotees on the basis of material considerations, then the society doesn't progress. The preaching mission doesn't progress. Everyone's bhakti does not progress. So this is very nice what the Mother Earth is saying. And then Prabhupada spends some time in this purport talking about the importance of Van Ashrama Dharma. And let me just... So Prabhupada used to say that the Van Ashram Dharma, which Prabhupada writes in this purport, that the Van Ashram Dharma is meant for progressive advancement. Firstly, from animal life to human life, and then from human life to saintly life. This is the whole purpose of Van Ashram Dharma, the gradual progression of everyone in the consciousness, from animal consciousness. And Prabhupada used to give the analogy that the Varnashram system is like the body. In the body, we have the head, we have the arms, we have the belly, and then we have the legs and the feet. So the Brahmanas are considered to be like the head. The head gives the direction. The Kshatriyas are considered to be like the arms, because the Kshatriyas protect, just like the arms protect us. The Vaishyas are meant to be like the belly, because the Vaishyas engage in agriculture and cow protection and in trade. And the Shudras, they are meant to be like the legs that support the other parts of the body, and the legs work. And Prabhupada used to say, sometimes the ant may think, why must I put the food through the mouth? Why must the mouth get the food? Why can't I put the food, take the food directly through my hand? And Prabhupada says that's foolishness, because the food can only be assimilated when it's put through the mouth. So if the hands rebels, it's just foolishness. So in the same way, all of the other varnas, they meant to be supported, take direction from, and they meant to maintain the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are the head of society. And Prabhupada says one symptom of Kali Yuga is when the Varna ashram system falls down. When the Shudras take on the role and the position of the Brahmanas. And this is the problem with democratic society. By the system of votes, all of the Shudras vote because the Shudras are in majority, and all of the Shudras vote, and they put a Shudra in charge of the government. And that Shudra, who has no spiritual qualifications, and the spiritual qualifications Prabhupada talks about here, is tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, devotion, and faith in the Vedic wisdom. And because the Shudras don't have any of these qualities, there is chaos. And then Prabhupada talks about the second reason why Varna ashram falls down. And the Shudras, they think by birth, they can put on the sacred thread and they become Brahmanas. Not by qualities, even if they have none of the qualities of a Brahmana. But if they have taken birth in the Brahmana family, then immediately they consider themselves Brahmana. They use the sacred thread, and everything becomes chaotic. Prabhupada is saying in this purport, this is one of the main reasons why Kali Yuga really takes effect. It's because of the collapse of the Varna ashram dharma. And then Prabhupada said that a major portion of his work, Prabhupada's first mission was to create the head of society, Brahmanas. And Prabhupada gave a Brahman initiation for all those devotees or disciples who were showing Brahmanical qualification, irrespective of being born in whatever family, in whatever country. So Prabhupada wanted to firstly create the head of society, and then thereafter structure society according to the various varnas and ashrams. But Prabhupada had very limited time. Prabhupada translated the books, established deity worship, taught the principles of Brahmanical culture, and to some extent, through starting farming communities, he gave some example of how Varna ashram system could operate. So if you read this verse carefully, we can understand that for there to be cooperation and peace in society again, we have to re-establish Varnashram. Nowadays in ISKCON, a lot of energy, time and effort is being spent to discuss how Varnashram could be re-established. And there are many senior devotees giving direction in this respect. And slowly, hopefully we can see Varnashram. Prabhupada's idea was very simple. Varnashram will start to be established through farm communities. And these farm communities should be ideal, where we see all of the Varnas, and then the rest of the population of Kali Yuga, they will experience so much of frustration due to the effects of Kali Yuga. They will see the examples of the farming communities established by ISKCON. They would come, Prabhupada used to say, they would come in the thousands to experience life in these farming communities. And then they'll see how natural life is in the farming communities, how they are the different Varnas, how they cooperate. Then naturally, even if they do not have any inclination towards Krishna consciousness, just from the point of view of a peaceful life, they will start to join these farming communities. So this was Prabhupada's idea, Prabhupada's strategy. And, as the generations go past, hopefully all of us can try to think of how we can contribute towards this and become part of this. So I'll stop here. I've got a meeting soon with our Bhadra team. Just take any questions or comments anyone has.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my humble obeisance unto you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your wonderful class. I have a book by Dr. Sahadev Das. So he has written a book called Capitalism, Communism and Cowism. And it's so nice. That book is simply describes the flaws in the economic structure of all the countries now following America, and how it's going to towards annihilation, economic annihilation of all the countries. So it's a very nice book. I would recommend. I bought it from the temple.
What's the name of the book again, and who's the author?
I'm just going to show you. Sorry. Okay. Can you see the book?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, it's Capitalism, Communism, and Cowism: a new economics for the 21st century by Dr. Sahadev Das.
Okay, thank you.
It's a very nice book. It's just talking about all the, and he has written it in 2011, and it's so relevant. It's just like so much. I mean, it's simplified. It's a very nice book with chapters, and it simplifies the whole problem and how everything is going to fail. All the isms, as Prabhupada says, all of them are going to fail. And as you're saying, that cow farming, farming and cow protection, that's the only way. And people, I think few people outside obviously ISKCON are realizing that they are failures. They are realizing that. And so yeah, that's the thing nowadays. So I think if there was one, there is a saying, isn't it, about how the collective consciousness, when the intellectuals, they think, and collective consciousness, how Prabhupada is going, how Prabhupada has written in his books. So by reading Prabhupada's books, how we can have the same type of consciousness, even those who are not in Krishna consciousness can understand, and how that consciousness will change, and there will be a collective consciousness of Krishna consciousness. Hopefully it will come soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
If we all, even if we in this lifetime we're not able to, as long as we, we were discussing recently, but we talk about it, we plan for it, and we advocate for it, then it'll happen. But if we say, oh, it's not going to happen, it's a pie in the sky, then it won't happen. So we all need to play our little part.
Yes. And as you and Divana Prabhu, they are all, you're all distributing books. That's the way for Prabhupada's book to reach the masses.
Yes.
So all glories to your service. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else got any comments, or questions, or reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Puja Mataji. Yes, there's just a minor point, which I think is the basis of sound families. I found that from my personal experience and those around me, that those who are a peaceful family life, with everybody living together, staying together, father, parents, granddaughters and children and daughters-in-law, when there's peace in the family, that family does progress much more than when there is diversity and the people quarrel and family separates out. So this is just a small observation. And from what we have learned today, Prabhupada is saying that peace and cooperation is very important. But I think it all starts from the small families. And if these families are cooperative, they're sort of peaceful, then we can progress further from there.
Very much so. There's a saying that the family is the microcosm of the society. That means microcosm means that if the family unity is peaceful and cooperative, and you've got a number of peaceful and cooperative families, then they'll all come together to make a peaceful society. But if the family unity is, fractured or disorientated, then we have problems. Thank you. Good point. Good point, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, dear devotees, I need to move on to another meeting now, our Bhadra meeting. Sorry if you had a question or comment, I can't entertain it. But please message us privately or in the group if there's such questions you have. Thank you very much. All glories to your service, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu Pavane
Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Thank you, Prabhuji, very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.